Well, hello, market scholars. My name is Brandon Van Zee. I'm one of two co-founders of our organization, along with my business partner, David Settle. It is Saturday night, the night before we have our official public launch of our organization. Of course, many of you have already been with us for quite a few months at this point. We first started teaching our beta classes back in March, but we had so many people sign up with us here in just the last 3 days or so that we thought it'd be a good idea just to touch base with you here, let you know that we haven't forgotten about you. This is kind of a new experience for a lot of us, especially David and I. We've never started a business before, so we're kind of learning a lot of things on the fly. We're not exactly sure where things fall in place right now with the website yet. There's been a couple of hiccups here and there, just for your guys' information. We of course had our original website that we knew was just going to be temporary in nature, and of course we built up quite a bit of content on there with the various blogs and the forums and the groups and everything like that. And so we really wanted to kind of transition all of that information into our new website that we've been kind of building behind the scenes in a developmental stage, but it's just been a little bit tricky to get all of that information. So we've been kind of going back and forth on the best way to go through that approach. We do appreciate your guys' patience. I think most of you kind of understand what we're going through there. David and I's background, of course, is in the stock market, not in website development, but we'll get you through one way or another. But the point is, just wanted to welcome you in here tonight, talk about a few things to get you a little bit familiar with our organization, and just remind you that with the next couple of days, things could be a little bit chaotic, but the good news is, since all of you guys have registered using your email addresses, we'll be in constant communication with you if there is any sort of challenges that we have going forward. I know a lot of you would be concerned about, hey, am I going to be able to attend classes first thing starting on Monday, as an example? And yes, we'll be able to get you that information. Even if our website's not completely up and ready by Monday, we'll definitely be able to email you guys. So keep your eyes on your email. And that's another reminder, the main email that we send out from here is support@marketscholars.com. So it might be a good idea for those of you that have not heard from us before to go into your email address book and just add our email address. Again, it's support@marketscholars.com. If you add it to your email address book, then whenever we send something to you, hopefully it wouldn't show up in your junk folder, as an example. So anyway, just wanted to say thank you for everybody who signed up here recently. We're really thrilled with the results, and I'm really excited to kind of spend the next 3 years with many of you in our classes. I know David is in the same boat there. So let's talk a little bit about our website, just to get some of you a little bit more familiar with it. This is our website. Now, as a reminder, again, I'm recording this on a Saturday night here, so this is not our new website yet. Our new website is actually going to be quite a bit different than this. It's going to have a light background color, so you'll know right away that the website has changed if by the time you go to marketscholars.com you see a white background. But this is still our old one. And the way that it works is we're using WordPress as kind of our backbone of our website, and they have a lot of different themes. And so the idea is we're going to be able to transfer much of what you guys have already learned, for those of you that have been with us, to the new site. So it won't be like learning something completely new. It's just that we're changing the theme of our website itself. But you can see here that up at the top we have some basic functionality for those of you that want to get started right away. Now again, some of you might wait a few days or what have you to get going, and maybe just wanted to take advantage of our discount pricing, but you weren't really planning on actually attending classes or what have you, and that's fine as well. But for those of you that do want to get going right away, we can certainly understand that and appreciate that enthusiasm as well. And so I just wanted to show you a few things here. So of course, we've got our home page right here, and you can check out our terms of services there. Kind of talks about, you know, some of the do's and the do nots there. Another thing I should remind you of, I know most of you did listen to the Q&A presentation that David and I did a couple of months ago. It was always attached to those sign-up forms and all that kind of stuff as well. So kind of repeating things here, but just want to make sure we're clear. You know, the vacation policy is going to be a little different than what you might have expected in the past with our previous employer, because of course there we had tons of coaches that could always sub for one another and what have you. So just as a reminder, David and I do have the ability to take up to 4 weeks off per year, and we're going to be off between, I think it's Christmas and New Year's as well. But we won't be subbing for one another once one of us is out of the office. Now, we're going to do our best, of course, to let you know that well in advance whenever we have a trip coming up or something like that. But just want to make sure we're setting the proper expectations that we wouldn't be able to cover each other's classes. Now, the good news is we generally don't go too far away. I'm not planning on going on any crazy vacations or anything myself, so I have no reason to believe that I'll be away for long periods of time, but just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. We're going to do the best we can for you as a two-man operation here. Let's talk about the blog for a second here as well. So I'm going to click on the blog right now. So that's just your button right up here near the top. So it's just pulling up our blog information. And by the way, some of you might have seen this already. I did announce the name of my new sector tool. Many of you know that I used to call it the top-down thermometer. I have now kind of revamped that. I've added a lot of functionality, and it's now known as the sector selector. So we will be selecting stocks based off of strong sectors in my Monday class. That's my Monday noon Eastern time class. That's the top-down trend trading. One question we have been getting, by the way, quite a bit is whether our classes are recorded or not. We know you guys have very busy schedules as well. And yes, all of our classes are recorded. So if you're not, if you do miss anything that you want to kind of follow back up on, you can certainly do that. In fact, we have two different types of recordings that are available. We have the WebEx version. For those of you that were with us at our prior employer, you'll know that we use WebEx there as well. So you might very well have WebEx already downloaded to your computer. If you don't, you might want to go through that process, because we do use WebEx software that you would need to download to your computer in order to attend our classes live. So our recordings will also have a WebEx version, but in addition to WebEx, our recordings will also have a YouTube version. Now, the reason that we do that is because for some reason, WebEx is a little bit goofy in that they don't let you listen to a recording on a mobile device. I know it's kind of strange, because they actually do let you listen to the live class on a mobile device. So for those of you that want to kind of sneak away during a work break or something like that and listen to our classes, you would be able to do that on your iPhone if you were there live. But for some reason, WebEx doesn't allow you to listen to the recording on your iPhone. So anyway, we do also upload our recordings to YouTube to kind of help facilitate that for those of you that want to listen to it on your mobile device on a recorded style as well. So anyway, just be aware of that. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out, support@marketscholars.com, and we'll do our best to get back in touch with you. By the way, there's our email address right there. So for those of you that want to jot that down, feel free to do so. So this is the blog, and this is where you're going to find quite a bit of information. Some of you are already familiar with it because you're familiar with our market outlooks, and we've been trying to get people in the habit of coming over here to watch those videos. So you might be familiar with the blog already, but we also post our class recordings here in the blog. So you might want to start filing through some of those if you want to come back and, for instance, listen to my dividend growth investing class back on Thursday. You're welcome to click on that, and it'll take you into an area where you can start watching some of those recordings. So anyway, just wanted to get you familiar with the blog. That's going to be a good place for you to get information about Market Scholars. Let's now talk about the calendar. I'm going to click on the calendar right up here at the top of our website. And that calendar is going to be a really important thing for a lot of you, because I would say the most valuable thing about Market Scholars, at least from my opinion — I think other people have probably various opinions about what they truly value out of our organization, but from my opinion, the best thing that we offer is our classes. David and I both really enjoy teaching. It's really fun for us. We really like seeing the light bulbs go on with our students, and we enjoy the markets, of course. It's just a fun thing for us to do. So you'll find that the classroom experience here at Market Scholars, second to none. You'll find that not only do David and I do our best to facilitate an excellent classroom experience, but your fellow students are just amazing people. And you're really in an excellent community of investors and traders once you've signed up with us here at Market Scholars. In fact, you can call yourself a market scholar now. You guys are all market scholars, and we're all learning more about the market. But you'll find that this is a very friendly student environment, and the nice thing about being in those classes is you're going to get to know one another. Now, obviously, you probably aren't going to be in the same city or state, but you're going to get to know each other very, very well, and you'll get to learn from one another as well. There's a lot of very bright students that have been in the markets for a long time, and you're going to be able to pick up quite a few things from them as well. But anyway, this calendar here will then direct you to where you can start looking at some of that content. Now, the nice thing about the calendar here is that we're going to put our recordings on the calendar, and we're also going to put our upcoming events on the calendar. So it makes it a nice, convenient location where you can just go there, whether you're looking for something that happened in the past or something that's going to happen in the future. So as you can see, this is kind of some of our different classes that we teach here. Top-down trend trading and options for long-term investors and dividend growth investing and technical analysis, et cetera, et cetera. So feel free to go back and check out any of those previous recordings if you want to. Now you'll notice that if you hover your mouse over the recordings, it gives you a little bit of a summary about what we might have talked about in that class, so that way it can kind of pique your interest a little bit as far as the various classes that are available. So you can kind of see here's David's technical analysis class here, and here's another one of his where he talked about the parabolic SAR and what have you. So feel free to go back and get a feel for some of these classes, especially if you're new and you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. If you want to get a feel for what the live experience will be like, feel free to check out some of those old recordings to kind of get a sense of the flow of what we'll be doing in the classroom experience. What we pride ourselves in here is application-based investing and trading rooms. We feel that while you can go out and learn things in a book, it's just not the same experience as actually feeling your way through the markets, and having somebody like David or myself guide you through that process can be quite valuable as well. So we really love that classroom experience where you're not just learning something from a theoretical perspective, but we're actually using paper money in order to place trades nearly every single class and manage portfolios and learn from that process, good or bad. Remember, there are no guarantees in the market. We want you to become knowledgeable about what you're doing, because that can lead to confidence, but that certainly isn't going to guarantee any success. In the end, we'll do our best with whatever the market throws our way, but we do find that practical nature of what we do helps us learn much more quickly than it would otherwise. So feel free to go back, watch some of those recordings. And then I should also mention that David was busy building out the July calendar earlier today. In fact, he might still be doing it right now. So notice up at the top of the calendar, you can advance to future months, or you can go back to prior months with these little widgets up here at the top. So I'm just going to click on July up here since I'm currently looking at the June calendar. So I'm going to click on July right here, and I'll show you kind of what that process will look like. Notice these classes are starting to load up into our July calendar now. So these are the future classes that haven't occurred yet, of course. And the way that it works here is you do need to register for each class that you want to attend with WebEx. That's the downside. But the good news is that we have at least established a way where you can register for all the classes at once. And that's probably what I would encourage you to do. Even if you're somebody that has a really busy schedule and you're thinking, boy, I don't know if I can even get to 5 classes live at that time, well, I would encourage you to just sign up for all of them anyway. It doesn't hurt to be registered for them. So let me show you that process real quick. Let's just say that you wanted to attend the very first class here after our public launch on the 2nd of July. And this is going to be my top-down trend trading class here. It's going to be taught at noon Eastern time this upcoming Monday. So if I click on that, it'll then take me to an area of the website. Hang on just a second. There we go. And it'll kind of show you a little bit of graphic up here at the top. Notice that below that graphic there's a link and it says click here to register for this event. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Now that's going to take me to this area that's now managed by Cisco WebEx. Now this is not part of our website, that we just use their technology for our conferences. And so notice that up here at the top is the very first class on the docket starting on July 2nd. And it's 10 o'clock my time, so we're out here in the Mountain Time Zone. For those of you that weren't aware, David and I both live in Utah. We live about an hour away from one another, so we don't see each other a lot, but we both live in Utah, so you might see stuff with the Mountain Time Zone occasionally, just because that's where we're at. But on your side of the equation, depending on how you've got things set up, it might very well show a different time zone. We usually, when we're just referring in general to times, we will talk in terms of Eastern Time Zone, just simply because that's what the kind of standard is out there. So anyway, if you wanted to register, here's what you should do. Notice that there's this empty box up here at the top of all these other checkbox areas. I really wish that Cisco would say check all right here. It would make our lives a little bit easier because it's not overly obvious that that is indeed the case, but it is. If you click on that very top box right there, notice what's going to happen when I do that. All of those boxes get checked. And so what's going to happen there is you're going to register for basically all the classes of July at the same time. And that's going to save you time in the long haul. So I would, again, encourage you to do that. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and come down here to the bottom, and now notice that there's a button that says register down here at the bottom. I'm kind of circling with my mouse. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And then that's going to show you all these different classes that you registered for. Again, even if you're not going to make it to even half of these classes, that's fine. Doesn't hurt at all to register for them, even if you know you're not going to attend. But it will save you time even if you attend a couple of them, because you're basically just going to have to register once for it right here. So then you just fill out your name and your email address, etc. down here, and click submit. Which is down in your lower right hand corner. Once you do that, then you are registered for those classes. Now after you're registered, you will still need to know what the password is. There is a unique password for each live event. So let me go back to that. So let's say you've now registered and you're about ready to attend either my class on Monday or really any class. The process is still the same. So you would still go into the calendar. So maybe we should just start with that again. Let me go back to the calendar. Pretend like you're coming in here on Monday morning after you've registered. And you say, okay, well, I want to go to attend Brandon's class now. So I'm going to go and click on that on the calendar. So clicked on that. It's now going to bring you into the event itself, the top-down trend trading. You can see we've got the slide set up for that. And so we can now click, actually before we click on that, you will notice that they actually show the event password down here. Now you will start getting some emails from WebEx as well that might also show the passwords. There could be a couple different places you get the password, but just so you know, there is a unique password listed on each one of these events. So if I were to go and look at the options class on Monday afternoon, the password would be different than this one that you see right here. So just be aware of that. Now when you're watching the recordings, if you're watching a WebEx version of the recording, we always set the password there to Market Scholars 1. But that's the recording, not the live event itself. So just be aware of that. We have control over the password for the recording. So that's why we set those all to be the same. But we do not have control over the passwords for the live event. So that's why things are a little bit different there. You'll get used to it. It probably sounds a little confusing right now, but believe me, you'll get used to it in just a couple of days' time. So basically, you would just come here and copy. Oops, hang on. Not sure what I did there. There we go. We're going to copy it right there. So I just right-clicked and I copied that password. You can write it down if you want as well, but probably highlighting it and then copying it by right-clicking and copy is probably going to be the easiest way to go about that. And then you would just come back into this link again, and at that time you would click on this top-down trend trading class if that was the one that you wanted to attend, and then you'd start filling out your information up here. Now notice it says event password, and that's where you would populate that password that you would have received there just a moment ago. So that's how you go through that process. I would encourage you to probably go through this process about a half an hour before your very first class that you're going to attend, just in case you run into any hiccups there. You know, again, some of you are going to still need to download Cisco, and they'll, I'm sure, walk you through that process when you go through it. Many of you that have been with our prior employer before, you probably still have WebEx on your system, but you know, everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different there. So point being, if you're going to attend a live class and it's going to be your very first one with us here, it might make sense to try to just sign in maybe about a half an hour ahead of time or 20 minutes ahead of time, just in case you run into any technical difficulties. And we'll do our best. You know, David and I can't fix every single problem, because obviously when we're using something with WebEx, sometimes it can be their issue, not ours. But if you are having some, you know, problem or experiencing some issues, you know, feel free to send us an email, support@marketscholars.com. And, you know, if I'm in class, David might be able to respond to your issue, or vice versa. So we'll do our best to kind of help you out where we can. But remember, even if you can't ultimately get into the live class, it is going to be recorded, so that way you can watch it in case there are any hiccups there. All right, let's go back over to the website here and talk about a few more things. So now we talked about how to kind of register and get into the new classes that are coming up for July. Another thing I wanted to point out, some of you are aware of this because I kind of sent a couple links to you there in the welcome email that you should have received after you signed up with us. But there's a couple tutorials that might be helpful for you as well. One of them is on April 29th, so you can kind of see it sitting right here. It's called the chart importation tutorial. It might also be listed off here to the right where it says popular posts. You can see right there, chart importation tutorial. So depending on how many people have clicked on it, it might be in either one of those places. But jot down that date of April 29th, because that'll be an important one. I'll show you what happens once I click on that. It'll take you to just a little bit of a heads up that I've got a tutorial, and you can click on it right here, which will then take you to the blog post. And on that blog post itself, you do have a tutorial video right here that you can click play on, and I'll walk you through the process of basically taking all of these different shared chart links to load up into your Thinkorswim platform. Now again, many of you are familiar with Thinkorswim. Many of you have been with us for a number of years, and so you've used Thinkorswim. But we also respect the fact that some of you may have never used Thinkorswim before. Thinkorswim is actually a product of the brokerage firm TD Ameritrade. It's kind of their elite trading platform. And the nice thing about Thinkorswim is they offer paper money versions. So that's why we like to use it in our classes, so we can go out there and teach a whole bunch of different strategies and not have to worry about the real money aspect of what we're doing in case we make some huge mistake. And so we would encourage you guys that are new to do the same thing. Now, if you don't have an account at TD Ameritrade, first of all, I should say we are no longer affiliated with them. So we want to be crystal clear about that. We used to be affiliated with them. We no longer are, but we still use their platform. We do find it to be an excellent platform. We could actually go and use platforms from other brokerages if we wanted to, but we've actually found that the Thinkorswim platform is about top notch, especially when it comes to something like the ThinkScript programming that we really enjoy to customize for our students. That's a big appealing aspect of Market Scholars, is the customized charts. Now, I've kind of headed up that project myself. I'm a little bit more familiar with that project than David is as far as using ThinkScripts in the platform and the charts, but I can't take full credit. In fact, as you'll hear me talk about in the tutorial video itself, there's a couple of people in particular, Marcia Falk and Clarence Carr, that have just been extraordinarily helpful to me. I can promise you this: I would not have been able to do everything I wanted to do without their assistance. So anytime you see them in the classrooms, be sure to thank them. They're just simply students like you are, but they're very generous spirits and they want to help out, and they're very knowledgeable when it comes to computer programming. So they've helped me out tremendously, and they've done just an excellent service for all of our students. So thank you to both Marcia and Clarence. And there's been other people that have been helping a lot as well. You'll get to know some of the folks in the forums. Curdy comes to mind. Curdy does a great job with building scans and different things like that. So you'll find that this is a very generous community that you've entered into. And if you can ultimately contribute to that at some point, great. But if for right now you can learn from it and get advantage out of that, that's just as fine as well. But anyway, that is the tutorial on April 29th on the calendar, and that will help you set up all of your charts on Thinkorswim to look like the charts that David and I use both in our live classroom settings and also in those market outlook videos that many of you have watched over time as well. So make sure you're taking full advantage of that. The other tutorial that I'll point out is even further back. So let me go back to the calendar here. Let's see, where are we at? There we go. And for the next one, I want to go back a month prior to March. And on March 29th, I believe. Let me go to the March calendar. There we are. And yes, actually it was March 31st. Right here you can see there was another tutorial I produced called the Sector Watch List tutorial. And what this tutorial will do, it'll allow you to see how to import my watch list from a sector perspective into your platform as well. And that will allow you to then go in and hone in on a specific sector like the utilities sector and look for opportunities specifically within there if you wanted to. So again, it's kind of the same drill. You can watch the video right here if you wanted to, or you can go over here to this blog, this colorful graphic that you see right here, and click on that. That will then take you to this blog which will show you the various sectors and how they're composed right now down below. Like here's all the discretionary stocks and the energy stocks, etc. So anyway, there's a couple of other things that you could do if you wanted to. Again, none of this is pressing. I don't want to make it sound like you need to do this right now, otherwise you're just going to fall behind. It doesn't work that way. This is kind of self-paced. We just want to make sure that those of you that are, chomping at the bit to get something done right away, that you have something here in front of you. Let's go to our next tab now that we've talked about the calendar and some of the resources there. Let's talk about the forums now. So I'm going to click on forums up here at the top. And again, remember that if you're watching this a few days later, our website may look different, but a lot of the functionality will still be the same. So now that I'm on the forums here, you'll notice there's a bunch of different forums. Now, I would say that the forums that probably get the most traction would be our class forums. In fact, you can kind of see that right here. There's 1,900 posts in our forums. So again, for those of you that just got started right now, you're thinking, boy, where have I been? And yeah, there's been a lot of activity since March when David and I first started teaching our beta classes. So feel free to dig in. There's a lot of great content out there. There's also a lot of people out there on our market outlook. Now remember, that particular forum is open to the public. So want to be clear about that as well. There are some elements of our website that are behind the paywall that only you guys will have access to. There are going to be some other minor elements of our website that will be available for just our free subscribers as well. So in the end, you'll kind of figure that out as you go. But one thing to know is that in our classes, our class forums, as you can see up here, those ones are all for market scholars only. The free clients cannot get into that area. So that's where we can discuss very specific trade setups, and you guys can help one another out. You can ask David and I questions and different things like that. But in order to get into those, you do need to kind of request access to it. So let me see if I can maybe show you dividend growth investing. Is this one right here? It says private dividend growth investing. So I'm going to click on that. That's going to take us into that area. And this is just my dividend growth investing class forum where we talk about different things. I talk about the various class trades that we've been placing in the classes over time. And there's a lot of different topics here. You'll find that people are very interested in this particular subject. So feel free to dig in. A lot of folks, Claire and Billy and Glenn and Phil, Doug and Bob, a lot of folks have contributed to this over time. So feel free to dig into those as well. But when you first come here, if you're brand new, you'll have to click a button that says request group access. And then David and I behind the scenes will allow access to that as well. I can actually show you what that'll look like. I think I have it saved here somewhere. I usually just come in here like once a day or a couple times a day just to see if anybody's requested access. So you can see here there's already a couple of you here that have. In fact, I noticed Jason and Daphne's name coming through our subscriber list here today. So welcome if you're Jason or Daphne or Keith or anybody else. But anyway, you can see that they've already kind of started figuring things out. They didn't need this video for that. It's a great job kind of plucking around on our website there. But anyway, they've already requested access. So this is what it looks like for me. You know, I can see that these folks want access to my class group, so I just come in here and I have to click accept, and then that accepts them into the group, and then they can start contributing and reading some of those posts. So anyway, I would encourage you to go out there. You might as well just sign up for all 8 of our Trading Room forums, and David and I can kind of accept you behind the scenes, and that way you're off and running, and you can kind of go from there. And even if you're not going to be interested, let's say you have no interest in dividends, you know, it still might be helpful to get that out of the way in the beginning anyway, just so in case you do have something you wanted to contribute to the forum at some point in the future, that you would already be accepted to it and you could do it immediately. So anyway, that's another thing that you can kind of do as kind of a housekeeping item, you know, with getting something done right off the bat here if you're looking for something to do. We have a lot of great activity there in our forums and groups and different things like that as well. Activity kind of ties into that as well. You can become friends with other members of Market Scholars, including David and I. So feel free to request a friendship with us, and that way you can start giving private messages to us if you wanted to, or what have you. So we'd like to build up our social network of sorts here on our website. I know many of you follow us on Twitter and Facebook and different things like that, and that's great. We're still going to do a lot of contribution of our content and stuff over there, but we would love to have a really robust community here on our website itself. And that way you guys can feel a little bit more comfortable as well. I know sometimes when you're on Twitter, you don't know, privacy element and all this different thing, who the heck is looking at your stuff. Well, at least here you can feel a little bit more comfortable knowing, okay, it's only Market Scholars that are here. These people have all paid to be part of this experience. There's not going to be, a lot of people that are spamming you or different things like that. So maybe be a little bit more comfortable that way. One thing that I would bring up, speaking of spamming, let's go here to the profile for a second. So notice that there's a menu item called profile. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to take you to the profile area. Now this is going to be specific to you. This is going to be your profile, but I'm going to show you what this is going to look like when I just pull up my profile. And so this is my profile coming up here. Now one thing I want to point out is this. Kind of ties into what I was just mentioning a moment ago about spammers. Notice that my username is @BrandonVanZ. So my username is not @Brandon@MarketScholars.com or Brandon@gmail.com or anything like that. Mine is just a simple, one word username right there. The reason I'm bringing that up is many of you, when you first sign up with us, if you don't intentionally sign up with a different username, WordPress basically just says, okay, well, if you don't know what your username is going to be, we're just going to assign your email address as your username to begin with. Now, some of you probably don't care about that, or you weren't thinking twice about it, and that's fine. It's not a big deal, but here is where it can be an issue. If somebody signed up for a free user account at Market Scholars, let's just say it's somebody that was listening to the Market Outlook video and they wanted to continue to do that, we do allow them to have a free account. Now, they're not going to be able to access all the premium stuff that you guys do, but there are certain areas of our website, especially the Market Outlook video area, that they can access. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is if you leave your username as your email address, it will show up here. So that person, theoretically, as a free person, would be able to see your profile and would be able to see your email address if you left it as your username. So David and I would both encourage you to change it if you haven't done so already, just for privacy concerns. Now, for those of you that don't care about it, maybe you set up your username with us as one of your alternative email addresses. I know a lot of people do that. You know, they kind of they leave their main email address for their friends and family, and then they kind of have an alternative email address where they kind of send all their you know, social networking and different stuff too. So that's fine if you want to leave it. But for those of you that are concerned about that privacy issue, we certainly respect that. And here is how you can go about changing your username if you do desire to do so. So you would come here to your settings area. Notice I'm kind of pointing at that below my picture, and I'm going to click on settings. And then once you've clicked on settings, it should start allowing you that opportunity to do so. So here's my email address right here. I could change my password if I wanted to right here, but that's not what I wanted to point out right now. What I wanted to point out is this: change username. I'm kind of circling right there with my mouse. I'm going to click on change username. That will then allow you to come in here and change it to something new. Now, I'm not going to. I kind of like my username. It's just my first and my last name all squished together there, so that's nice and easy for people to remember. But you can be somewhat anonymous if you want to. Now, honestly, I would like to see you guys use something with your name, because I don't want you to hide behind your profile. Now, some of you are very concerned about privacy, and that's fine, but I would say open your mind to the possibility of developing new friendships here. And it's hard to become a friend with Trader123 or somebody that, you know, something that's a really generic username. We would encourage you to become each other's friends. And I think you'll have a richer experience here at Market Scholars if you open yourself up to that. But at the same time, I do see the value of changing it from your email address, because you don't know who's out there jotting down your email address and signing up for different lists or what have you. So, you know, just in case you wanted to do that, here is how you go through that process. Change it to some other username, and then just come down here and click Save Changes, and you're all set. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Well, that's about all I wanted to kind of share with you tonight. Again, just really wanted to touch base, let you know that you haven't gone into a black hole. This is a family-like atmosphere that you've joined into here at Market Scholars, and we're absolutely thrilled to have you on board, and we can't wait to see what the next 3 years brings. Now, remember, you guys all got your $1,000 discount for signing up with us prior to June 30th, which is great. We're happy to award that to you, but the idea behind that as well was we kind of are buying off your guys' patience a little bit. You remember, everybody that signs up with us after July is going to have to spend another $1,000 more than you guys did. And so we hope that buys us a little bit of patience from you guys. We're going to do our best for you. Believe me, we are fully committed to this being a long-term venture. So this is not a fly-by-night operation. David and I are absolutely thrilled to be educators within the stock market and trading space. So we want to be here for you long-term. But we're not miracle workers at the same time. We're just two guys that are really excited about what we do. And so there will be some hiccups along the way. I have no doubt about that. But do understand, you know, here I am. It's Saturday night, 8 o'clock. You can see what kind of social life I lead, right? But that's David and I in a nutshell. We're committed to this, and we're basically at your beck and call 24/7. I mean, we do sleep every so often, but for the most part, we both work out of our houses, and we love what we do. And so we're not just going to keep pushing you aside and saying, well, we'll get to you, you know, after the weekend or whatever. We really do want to make sure you guys have a great experience here with us. So if you have any issues, any problems or whatever, reach out, support@marketscholars.com, and we're going to do our best to kind of help facilitate that. But again, just wanted to say hi, kind of introduce myself, and say thank you as well. We're incredibly grateful to have all of you in our audience. And we'll look forward to communicating with you throughout the next couple of days and weeks and months and years to come, and make sure that you feel comfortable as well with the entire approach that we have here. So anyway, welcome aboard. Very, very happy to have you here, and we'll look forward to serving you. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.